Look at your last grocery receipt or your last bank statement and really read it line by line. Somewhere on that list is money you will never see again, spent on something that gave you nothing back. Maybe it was the pre-cut fruit that cost 4 times the price of the whole one. Maybe it was the fee you paid just to touch your own cash at the wrong machine. Every one of these feels completely normal, and that is exactly why it drains you. Here are 15 everyday purchases quietly costing you a fortune and how much each one is really taking. The reason this works on almost everyone is simple. None of these purchases feel like a mistake in the moment. They feel like convenience or safety or a small treat you earned after a long day. The trouble is the pattern. A few dollars here and a few dollars there, repeated week after week, quietly rerouting money that could have been building your future. So keep that receipt next to you and let us walk through them one by one, starting small and working our way up to the ones that hurt the most. Every single fix here is something you can do this week for free without earning $1 more than you already do. Number 15, bottled water. This is the one hiding in almost every kitchen cabinet and every car cup holder in America. A single bottle from the convenience store cooler feels like nothing, maybe $1 or $2. But look at what you are actually buying. Tap water in most American homes costs less than a penny for an entire gallon. Bottled water can cost more than 2,000 times that same amount by volume. A family that drinks it all day every day can hand over more than $1,000 in a single year for something already flowing out of the kitchen faucet for almost nothing. And here is the part the shiny labels never mention. A large share of bottled water is simply municipal tap water that has been filtered and poured into plastic. A filter pitcher on your counter or a filter that screws right onto the faucet gives you the same clean, crisp water for a few cents a glass, and it pays for itself within a couple of weeks of skipping the cooler. By the ounce, bottled water can actually cost more than the gasoline in your car, which is a strange thing to realize while standing in a checkout line. Keep a reusable bottle by the door and fill it before you leave the house. That one small habit can quietly save a busy household hundreds of dollars every single year. Number 14, the pre-cut and pre-packaged produce in the refrigerated section. Those little clamshells of sliced melon, the tubs of diced onion, the bags of shredded cheese all look like a smart shortcut for a busy week. The markup tells a different story. On average, pre-cut fruits and vegetables carry a markup around 40% over the whole version sitting a few feet away. For some items, it is far worse. Whole butternut squash might sit at just over $1 a pound, while the same squash cubed and bagged can run closer to $5 a pound for nothing but the cutting. Trimmed and washed kale can climb even higher. Pre-shredded cheese even comes dusted with added starch to keep it from clumping, so you pay more for a slightly worse product. You are not buying food when you reach for pre-cut. You are buying 5 minutes of chopping at a price of several dollars a bag. If your time is genuinely tight, do a little cutting once a week and store it in glass containers. Then the whole produce you already paid less for is just as grab and go as the expensive stuff, and the savings stay in your pocket. Number 13. Name brand staples when the store brand is the exact same thing. Walk down almost any aisle and you will find 2 versions of the same product sitting side by side. The famous label with the glossy packaging and the plain store brand right next to it for noticeably less. For a huge range of basics, think sugar, flour, salt, baking soda, canned beans, frozen vegetables. And most cleaning supplies, the store brand is made in the same kind of facility to the same standard. Sometimes it rolls off the very same production line as the brand you grew up with, then gets a plainer label slapped on and a lower price. Store brands have quietly grown into some of the best-selling products in the country for exactly this reason. You are paying extra mostly for the advertising you have seen your whole life. The product inside the box is the same. Try a simple experiment. Pick 5 things you buy on autopilot every single week and switch just those to the store brand. Almost nobody can taste or see any difference at all, and the savings on ordinary staples quietly add up to hundreds of dollars over a year without changing a single meal you make. Number 12. Brand name medicine when a generic sits right beside it. This one costs Americans a small fortune at the pharmacy counter and in the medicine aisle. By law, a generic drug has to contain the same active ingredient at the same strength, working the same way in your body as the brand name version. The Food and Drug Administration holds it to the same quality standards. That is exactly why more than 9 out of 10 prescriptions filled in this country are already generic. On average, generics cost around 80 to 85% less than the brand name. The same logic covers the store brand pain reliever, allergy pill, and heartburn tablet on the shelf. Flip the box over and read the active ingredient. When it matches the famous name beside it, you are holding the identical medicine for a fraction of the price. To put real numbers on it, a common cholesterol drug can drop from hundreds of dollars a month under its brand name to just a few dollars a month as the generic for the exact same active ingredient. The bright packaging and the familiar jingle are the only thing you are leaving behind. Number 11. Premium gas in a car that only needs regular. This is one of the most expensive myths at the pump. The American Automobile Association tested this directly and found no real benefit to running premium fuel in an engine built for regular. It did nothing measurable for power, for mileage, or for emissions. Premium is simply a higher octane fuel, not a higher quality one. And that higher octane only matters for certain high-performance engines that actually require it. Roughly 16.5 million drivers pour premium into cars that gain nothing from it. About 7 in 10 drivers own a car that runs perfectly well on regular, yet millions still reach for the premium button thinking it is a little treat for the car. Premium costs roughly 50 cents more per gallon, and that same research found American drivers waste more than $2 billion a year on fuel their engines gain nothing from. Open your owner manual or look on the inside of your fuel door and read what your car actually requires. If it says regular, press regular with a completely clear conscience and keep that money where it belongs. Number 10. The extended warranty they push at every checkout. Whether it is a new car, a laptop, a television, or a refrigerator, someone will offer you a protection plan and paint a scary picture of the repair bill you are supposedly avoiding. The numbers rarely support the fear. Consumer Reports found that 55% of people who bought an extended car warranty never used it for a single repair, even though the typical plan cost just over $1,200. Even the people who did use it usually spent more on the warranty than they ever got back in covered repairs. For laptops and appliances, the story repeats itself. The cost of the plan tends to be about the same as the cost of one out-of-pocket repair you will most likely never need. On many laptops, the protection plan costs more than a single screen repair would have, and plenty of third-party warranty companies simply go out of business, leaving people holding a policy that pays out nothing. So here is a better move. Consumer Reports even suggests taking the $1,500 to $2,000 a big plan can cost and parking it in a savings account instead. If something breaks, you have the cash ready. If nothing breaks, and it usually does not, you keep every dollar plus a little interest on top. Number 9. Fees just for reaching your own money. These are maybe the most insulting charges on this entire list because you are being billed simply to access cash you already earned. Using an out-of-network ATM now costs almost $5 per withdrawal on average, a record high that has climbed 3 years in a row. Pull cash from the wrong machine once a week, and that adds up to more than $250 a year, gone for nothing. Overdraft fees cut even deeper. The average overdraft fee is almost $27, and more than 9 in 10 checking accounts still charge it. At some banks, a single overdraft can run as high as $35 or even $38. 2 or 3 slip-ups in one rough month, and you have lost the better part of $100. The fix costs you nothing at all. Stick to your own bank network for cash, or switch to an online bank that refunds ATM fees and turn on low balance alerts so a small shortfall never becomes a fee. Banks quietly count on you not paying attention. Paying attention is the whole defense. Number 8. The subscriptions you forgot you are even paying for. This is the silent leak in almost every budget in 2026. The average person spends around $35 every month on subscriptions, and about 6 in 10 admit they have at least one they never actually use. Forgotten subscriptions alone drain the typical person roughly $200 a year. And here is the truly unsettling part. When researchers ask people to guess their total monthly subscription spending, nearly 9 out of 10 guess far too low, sometimes by well over $100 a month, because the small automatic charges spread across different cards become almost invisible. The streaming service you watched exactly once. That app you signed up for during a free trial and forgot. A membership you swore you would cancel last spring. Tonight, open your bank app and search your statement for the word monthly or the word renewal. Search your email for the words renewal and receipt too, because that is where the quiet ones hide. Streaming alone now averages around 4 services and close to $70 a month for many households. Cancel anything you have not touched in 30 days. A quick scan usually turns up 2 or 3 dead subscriptions in about 10 minutes and frees up real money on the spot. Number 7. The gym membership funding a building you never walk into. This one stings a little because it almost always starts with a genuinely good intention. You signed up to get healthy, and for a few weeks, maybe you actually went. Then life happened. Industry data suggests around 67% of gym memberships go largely unused, and about half of new members stop showing up within their first 6 months. Meanwhile, the average membership runs close to $70 a month and keeps charging long after the motivation quietly fades. That is more than $800 a year for a card in your wallet you never swipe. Altogether, Americans are estimated to waste well over $1 billion a year on memberships nobody uses. If you have not been in a month, be honest with yourself and cancel it. A pair of dumbbells, a jump rope by the door, and a daily walk cost almost nothing and survive the months a gym card never does. And they are waiting for you the second the motivation comes back. And if you truly love your gym and go often, wonderful, that membership is one of the good ones. The waste is only in paying for the version of yourself you keep promising to become. Number 6, paying for cable and a whole tower of streaming services at the same time. Streaming was supposed to be the cheap escape from that giant cable bill. Then it quietly became the very same thing wearing a different outfit. The average household now stacks several streaming services on top of whatever else it already pays for, and the total across all subscriptions can climb past $200 a month once you add every last one. Prices creep higher almost every single year. And new ad tiers now charge you to skip the very commercials you left cable to avoid. Look honestly at what you actually watch. Plenty of families really use 1 or 2 services while paying for 4 or 5. Try keeping the 1 or 2 you genuinely love, dropping the rest, and rotating through the others. Subscribe to a service for a single month, watch the show you were waiting for, then cancel and move on to the next. You still see everything eventually, and you pay a fraction of the year-round price. A single afternoon spent trimming that list is honestly one of the highest-paying hours of work you will do all month. If seeing where the money actually goes is helping you, subscribe and stay with me. I break down how ordinary people build real, lasting stability, one honest habit at a time, every single week. Now let us keep going, because these last 5 are the ones that quietly cost the most of all. Number 5, the daily takeout habit and the coffee run on the way to work. Nobody here is telling you to give up every treat, so let us be fair about it. The average American adult now spends roughly $2,800 a year on restaurant meals and takeout. On top of that, one survey found people throw away around $125 a month in groceries they bought and never cooked. That means many households are actually paying twice, once for food that quietly rots in the fridge, and again for the takeout they order instead. For the first time in memory, Americans now spend more than half of their food money eating away from home rather than cooking it. The daily coffee shop stop can run past $1,000 a year all on its own. You can absolutely still enjoy a meal out. The goal is turning autopilot into a conscious choice. Cook at home most nights, brew your coffee before you leave a few days a week, and let dining out go back to being the small treat it was always meant to be. Even cutting the habit in half can free up well over $1,000 a year. Number 4, lottery tickets and scratch-offs. That quick ticket at the gas station feels like harmless fun and a tiny shot at a whole new life. Now look at the real math. Americans spent more than $113 billion on lottery tickets in a single recent year, and in states that run a lottery, the average person spends around $320 a year on them. The odds of hitting a Powerball jackpot are about 1 in 292 million, a number so enormous it barely means anything to the human brain. Many players only buy in when a jackpot swells into the headlines, so a small handful of steady players quietly cover most of the sales. The biggest Powerball prize ever reached over $2 billion, which is precisely the kind of number that keeps people buying. The hardest truth is who tends to pay the most. Lower-income households, the people who can least afford to lose it, often spend far more on tickets than wealthier ones do. Now imagine taking that same $320 every year and quietly putting it into a simple index fund instead. Over a few decades, that ordinary little habit could grow into tens of thousands of very real dollars rather than a kitchen drawer full of losing tickets. The lottery sells hope by the ticket, and the house always keeps the change. Number 3, splitting everyday purchases into buy now, pay later plans. Breaking a purchase into 4 easy payments sounds painless, and that is exactly the trap. When the sting of paying disappears, spending quietly goes up. In a 2026 survey, 68% of buy now, pay later users said it made them overspend, and more than half said they later regretted a purchase they made this way. Nearly half had paid late in the past year, and those late fees and overdrafts turn a convenient checkout into a tangled mess of due dates. About 1 in 9 users has had a buy now, pay later charge quietly trigger an overdraft fee from their own bank. People are now stacking several of these plans at once, and the share financing their groceries this way has more than doubled in just 2 years, which is a quiet alarm bell about cash flow. The rule that protects you is simple. If you cannot afford it in one payment today, 4 smaller payments will not change that. All you are doing is pushing the same bill into the next 2 months. The saddest version of this is financing something small, watching it break or go out of style, and still making payments on it months later. Buy what you can truly pay for right now, and let that tempting checkout screen work on somebody else. Number 2, carrying a balance on your credit card. This is the single most expensive everyday habit on the whole list, and millions of people do it without ever realizing how much it quietly takes. The average credit card interest rate in 2026 sits around 21%, near the highest it has ever been in history. Here is what that really means for you. If you carry a balance of $5,000 and only make the minimum payment each month, it can take you more than 20 years to pay off, and you can hand the bank over $7,000 in interest on top of the original $5,000. That is more paid in interest than you ever actually borrowed. The average American already carries several $1,000s in card debt, quietly paying well over $1,000 a year in interest just for the privilege of it. The move that changes everything is to pay the full statement balance every month, so the interest never even begins. If you already carry a balance, throw every extra dollar you can find at the highest rate card first, and look into moving it onto a 0% balance transfer card so your payments actually shrink the debt instead of feeding the interest. The typical cardholder is quietly carrying several $1,000s like this without ever running the math. Nothing else on this list comes close to the pure freedom of owing the bank nothing at all. Number 1. Buying a brand new car. This is the biggest quiet wealth destroyer most people fall for at least once, and it strikes at the exact moment you feel proudest. A new car loses about 20% of its value in the very first year alone, and roughly 60% over the first 5 years. Drive a $30,000 car off the lot, and within about a year, it can be worth closer to $24,000, and after 5 years closer to just $12,000. That lost value never bought you a repair or a service you got to enjoy. It is pure evaporation, money that simply vanishes from your driveway while you sleep, and it usually dwarfs what you will ever spend on gas or repairs for that same car. The people who quietly build real wealth tend to do one thing differently here. They let somebody else absorb that first giant hit, and they buy a reliable car that is 2 or 3 years old with most of the steepest drop already behind it. You get the same safe, dependable vehicle, often with years of factory warranty still left, for many thousands of dollars less. On many models, letting the first owner eat that opening year saves more than the price of a decent used car all by itself. A car is a tool to get you where you are going. The moment it becomes the thing keeping you broke, it has stopped doing its actual job. So there they are, 15 ordinary purchases quietly draining the money that could be building the life you actually want. You do not have to fix all 15 of them tonight. Pick the 2 or 3 that hit closest to home, change just those, and let the savings finally start compounding in your favor for once. Redirect it into even a boring index fund. The money from 3 or 4 of these habits can quietly turn into a serious cushion over the years. Now I really want to hear from you. Which of these 15 did you catch yourself doing while you were watching? Was it the forgotten subscriptions, the daily takeout, or the brand new car sitting in the driveway? Tell me the one that stung the most down in the comments, and tell me which one you are going to cut first. Share the moment the money finally made sense for you, the habit you already managed to break, or the lesson you wish someone had taught you years earlier, because somebody scrolling by is going to read your words and finally make the change they have been putting off for far too long. And if you want the deeper foundation underneath all of this, the money lessons that school somehow never taught any of us, that is exactly where we are headed next.